Hello and welcome back to the PowerDrift podcast. This is an all new episode. Now, in the last couple of podcasts, you saw Vipul, and Vipul obviously had his story to say on how he got through PowerDrift. Today, we have Karan Singh, our newest presenter, newest host and host, and journalist and enthusiast, and everything in between. So, today on this episode, we're going to hear his story. But before we get to your story, I've always said this to people who have met and for people who want to apply to PowerDrift as well. It's a very unusual way, get to PowerDrift in the most unconventional manner. Of course, there's a resume involved and all of those things happen, the official things, but there's so much more and every story is so interesting. And today we're going to hear that story. So take over, man.
Firstly, I'd like to say that makes sense because PowerDrift is a very unusual place. So it's nice to have an unusual story.
Yeah.
So before I say how I got to PowerDrift, let me tell you how I became an automotive journalist.
Yeah.
So I finished college in 2019. I did BBA and I was, watching Wolf of Wall Street, super interested in finance, stocks. And I thought, that's the way ahead. And it was my parents that sort of convinced me to take a job that interests me. That's something that's my passion. And I had always been interested in cars, like crazy about cars. Like when I was barely able to speak, I could guess cars from the headlights. And I was like mad about cars. I had like a row of Hot Wheels cars and I was crazy about cars.
That's why your Instagram handle also says.
Is Cars with Karan, yeah.
See, that's a nice plug-in.
Thanks. So they basically sort of told me that before you get into something that your degree tells you to do, you try something that's related to your passion. So I said, okay, fine, but maybe there's no jobs around what I like about cars because I couldn't be an engineer, I couldn't be a designer, even though I tried car design at some point in time, but I felt like it was out of my reach. So anyways, I got back home from that talk. We'd gone out somewhere. I got back home from that talk. And the next day I found an internship for Evo, applied. And I told them pretty frankly that I'd never written an article before. I don't know what this job is about. But I had a car page at the time. It was called bhp.in, another plug. But
BHP.in.
bhp.in, yeah. And I got pretty good traction on that. And, I used to just post pictures of cars and I went around test driving cars and I used to write reviews of test drive cars and whatever. And I, sent in some screenshots and they seemed pretty happy with it. They said, come to Pune and this thing. And this was just right after college. So I said, okay, fine, I'll try it out. Did the internship for 6 months and they were super happy to hire me. At least I think they were super happy to hire me. And I started my career as an automotive journalist then, and I've never looked back since. Like, I don't think I could be thinking of doing anything else, not a desk job or anything else. This is like cars and now bikes are what fuel my passion. Is the reason I wake up every morning. So I feel I chose the right path through that unusual way. Then coming to PowerDrift at 24, which is what I am now, it had been 3 years almost into this automotive journalism, and I'd been doing the same stuff. Similar reviews, you have your intro and then you have your middle bit and then the end, and similar in terms of the YouTube also. You say your intro and whatever.
Right.
So I wanted to change it up. I wanted to learn more. I wouldn't say I'd learned everything that there was to learn, but I wasn't absorbing as much as I was in those first 6 months, those first 8 months. And of course that happens with everything you do. But I wanted to keep that learning process going and, do something that's next level. And I feel the younger I am and the quicker I get the exposure to that thing, the better it is. This is the thought I had at AutoX, and this is the thought I had during the TVS Young Media races.
So you were a part of the TVS
Young Media races.
Young Media program.
Program 6.0 of 2022. So plug to TVS for that.
Yeah.
And that also happened by chance because I started riding bikes also very recently. Even starting bikes was like sorry to stray off topic, but even the bike situation was very
Random.
unusual. Yeah. So I was just sitting behind our video editor and we were just riding through Pune and I was like, bhai, meko bike seekhna hai. He literally just stopped the bike and he said, bro, ride.
Which bike was that?
It was an FCS or FZ25, something like that.
Okay.
And he said ride. And he sat. So my first ride was with a pillion sitting behind me.
And you had never ridden a motorcycle before?
Never ridden a motorcycle before. And I used to be incredible. Like, I can't explain how scared I used to be to sit behind a motorcycle. For the longest time, I never sat behind a motorcycle because it used to like terrify me. And the only time I voluntarily sat behind a motorcycle was when I had the keys to the 790 Duke. it wasn't given to me, obviously. I hadn't ridden a motorcycle at that time, but I had to hand over the keys to the next guy coming to ride it the next morning at the office, and I was the only one staying that late that evening. But also Manal, who's now at Zigwheels, was in the office that time, and I'd previously sat on his RC out of pure compulsion. I just there was no other way to get home.
Right.
I sat behind on his RC 200, and I was like, I'm not doing this again, because you're sitting on the third floor and it's not something I want to repeat. So anyways, I said, Manal, here's the key. I don't know why I said it, but I said, here's the key. Take me for a small ride around office. So it took me for like a 100-meter ride around office in the 790. And because I'd never been on like a fast-ish motorcycle also, not even a 300cc motorcycle, I was like shocked. I couldn't believe that something on two wheels without any protection can go like that fast. And it was on rain mode, I think.
Yeah.
And still popped a wheelie.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is like a different kind of rush.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that got me a little bit interested into motorcycles, and then I asked the video editor if I can ride his motorcycle. I told him that I want to learn. Gets off the motorcycle, gives me the motorcycle. He said, "Ye le chala." And it was literally 5 minutes from the PG I was staying at that time. Road, didn't stall it. Reached the PG. Went a little tiptoey in some places, but I was fine. I was okay.
Yeah.
Reached the PG, and I had a Swift, second-hand Swift that I used to have in college at that time. And the video editor was trying to learn how to drive a car.
So you all
So
switched
we
seats.
figured out a deal where I gave him my Swift for a couple of days. I took his bike for a couple of days. 2 days I was like
Sweet.
perfectly fine with the fundamentals of the clutch and whatever.
Right.
So that's how my motorcycling journey started. Again, like an unusual-ish sort of a story. And that sort of, I rode more and more motorcycles. I was very excited to keep riding more and more, so I get a more wider perspective quickly.
Yeah.
Which obviously the other people in office already had that perspective. So it was anything that would come into office, I would try and ride it, even if it was just around office, just to get a feel for, okay, this has a different bite point. This has the throttle is different, something like that. Then I got a long termer. So a lot of my motorcycling was learnt on the Imperiale. Anyways, so that sort of led me to try for the Young Media races.
Racer program.
Yes. If you've lost on where we are, I'm trying to tell the story of how I joined PowerDrift.
Yeah.
Okay. So at the Young Media Racer, I didn't think I would be fast at all, because I'd never been to a track before on the motorcycle.
And that was your first experience at a race track?
Second, I would say. There was an Apache RR310 ride at the race. The race bike, there was a experience ride at the racetrack. I think maybe like 4 or 5 laps. I crashed there also, by the way. But that was my first experience at the racetrack. First crash on a motorcycle also. And yeah, after that I was like, okay, maybe I can do this. So I'd done a few laps in cars before. And my only sort of apprehension towards bikes on circuits was, would I be able to follow a line?
Yeah.
Versus in a car, you just have to steer and point and shoot, right?
Right.
In the bike, that was my biggest this thing, but I figured that out pretty quickly. But I didn't think I'd be fast. And the first round, we reach Chennai for the first round, and they say, Curry for the first round, sorry. And they say there's a wild card entry, Ishan.
Yeah.
From Zigwheels. I'm like, no wild card. I'd qualified, I think, second in the participation. I mean, in the qualifying round for the Young Media thing. So by the first round, I was pretty confident. And then comes this Ishan Lee with his own race suit, full like heavy gear, and he's like giving gyan to all the other riders. I'm like, no way, this guy's ruining my party, man. Qualifying comes, he's like miles ahead of everyone. I qualified third. I'm like, dude, there's no way. There's no way I'm letting a wild card win this race. So I just realized that in the first corner, I had the inside line and I have to overtake him. So anyways, I shot for the inside, overcooked it. I was fourth by the end of the first corner. But
I remember seeing that race live on TV.
Overcooked it. I was fourth.
Not on TV, on YouTube or somewhere.
Yeah,
on
YouTube.
the Facebook page.
YouTube, yeah. And anyways, long story short, I overtook him, crashed on the last lap, one corner away from victory.
I know.
I crashed but we became friends. Like me and Ishan, just because of that fight that we had like a nice dog fight, which almost no one else in the grid had. We had sort of this, I wouldn't say no one else had a desire to win, but we were just ready to go a little closer, like try that extra mile and push for positions. And that made us grow as friends. So I feel like in those 3 races, I made a really good friend out of Ishan. Shout out to Ishan, by the way. And on the last race, I sort of told him that, I want to do something more. And he told me there's a opening at PowerDrift and why don't you apply? So that's when I reached out to you. We had like a small conversation and you asked me to send a video. I sent the video and I told you how I feel and that I'm new to this and all of that. And yeah, I'm here now. So,
Yeah. In fact, the funny thing is that I wanted someone for my motorcycle team. And I look at your Instagram handle, I'm like, oh God, he says cars with Karan. I'm like, damn. Even when I had this initial chat with Rohan,
yeah.
I was like, dude, he's not gonna do cars. He has to be in the motorcycle team, at least for a temporary time, help me out and stuff like that. But anyway, the one thing that I wanna point out is when I look out for people, I'm obviously looking out for talent, and talent immediately stands out. And it's taken me this while to filter out people and to zone in on someone. And that's where my push as someone who heads the motorcycle team happens, where I say, okay, I feel this individual is going to fit very well in our team and we should have this individual, girl, boy, whatever it is. But one of the things that I told Karan was, you got to send me a video. Which is very casual. Like imagine, we often get lost in this process of being hosts, and it all becomes very hosty. I still want you to be a friend to someone who's watching our videos, and to connect with him. You're young, and it's very easy for someone who is young to connect with our audience because our audience is also very young.
Yeah.
So I told Karan, send me the chillest video possible. Like tell me something about a motorcycle, but in the most chill way. Yeah. And that's what actually impressed me, and that's one of the reasons why I sort of push for you.
So I think you asked me about the Bobber 42.
I think 42 Bobber or something.
And you said, think as if we're having a conversation over beer.
Yeah.
And I was like, there has to be a beer in the video. There's no way there's no beer.
So Karan actually put a beer in the video.
actually put a beer in the thing.
Yeah.
I didn't drink the beer, by the way. I put the beer back in the fridge. I was a responsible. Not that I was riding or anything.
Yeah.
But I didn't give my interview drunk, if anyone's wondering.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. What was your conversation with Rohan like?
Conversation with Rohan was super weird.
Yeah.
So I was at a blood donation camp when Rohan said he's available for a call. Because the few days prior to that, I was busy at like AutoX's anniversary shoot and then he was busy. And the time landed that right when I'm supposed to donate blood at like a blood donation camp, Rohan says, are you free now? And this was my dream opportunity. Like PowerDrift was my benchmark. Like I'd always thought that if I make it, it means I'm at PowerDrift or vice versa.
Right.
If I'm at PowerDrift, I've made it.
Right.
So I was like, screw the blood donation.
Yeah.
I'll take the call. So obviously it was tough to find a place to take the call at. So I borrowed my sister's husband's brother's car keys, ran to his car, which was parked in some gully like close by, hopped in the car, spoke to him, and I'd never spoken to Rohan before, and Rohan seemed like a very energetic, a very like
lively guy.
Yeah. On the call, he was calm, relaxed. He had those orange glasses on, which I was like, wow, this guy has orange glasses on. And it was a great conversation. He's told me that he wants to take PowerDrift to the next level, which was something that I wanted. Like, it's very important for your team to have a drive, but it's also equally, if not more important, for your leader to have a drive.
Yeah.
And I saw that drive, like, not that I'm someone who needs to see something in someone, but I saw that drive in him. Even though PowerDrift is at the top, I saw that he wants to go even further, We discussed ideas. We spoke that we need to switch up the content, think different. And that's how it happened. There was a lot of like back and forth in between about, of course, the final terms and stuff like that. But he told me it was a Thursday or a Friday that I was speaking to him. He told me to join on Monday.
Yeah.
And of course, I couldn't join on Monday. But I went and spoke to my current the prior office at the time. And they weren't ready to relieve the notice period. So I had to serve my 1 month there, which sort of delayed the process of joining here.
Right.
But literally, I left. My last day at that office was Thursday. Monday, I was here. So
and you've been here for what, a week now?
A week now, staying.
Little over a week.
Yeah, a week now, staying in an Airbnb at the moment.
Yeah.
But super excited to be here. The office is super. If anyone's wondering, the office is like a super chill vibe. I feel like we should invite people to just come and.
Yeah. I mean, people do turn up to our office by looking at the cars, and they realize, oh, that is a Supra that they've seen before. Oh, that is a Lamborghini that they've seen. Oh, that Z800 is toothless. So people somehow have figured out that, our office is in Pune and it's at a certain location. And you'll find people in our office, oh, you are Rohan, you are... It happens. But what I want to also understand is, now that you're here, you've already experienced the first shoot. Not the podcast, but you've seen a shoot in progress. And what do you make of that?
So I saw a couple of shoots. One is the GLB EQB first drive, which I went for. I think the video should be live by the time you're seeing this podcast, so go check it out.
Yeah.
Already in that shoot, there was a difference. We spent time on a 20-second intro. We came back to Pune. The same evening, we shot the intro. We spent maybe an hour and a half sorting out the intro. We bought the props for the intro. That drive to not just do something different, but do that something different right, is what took me aback. Like, of course, there's the difference of equipment. Like, I'm used to shooting the in-car PTCs with a GoPro versus here there was like a proper camera. So that quality is already different instantly because there's a better camera, right? But the strive for better quality, the strive that even if the car is thoda sa like this, but you want it thoda sa like this, the shot won't happen unless it's like this. That strive for perfection is something I really learned at Evo. I sort of feel like I lost in the middle somewhere, but I'm glad to see that the team has this here.
Yeah.
I think it's that strive for perfection that just, even on a simple first drive where pretty much everyone's going to have the same video, I promise you our video is going to be different. I promise you our video is not the same as what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that there is perfection in everything, from placing the cars to, I think Sujit, who's behind the camera right now, he spent like a good 5 minutes setting up just the angle for the camera in the in-car PDC.
Yeah.
He asked me to set the seat to what I wanted, and then he positioned it again. He said, don't shoot when there's sunlight because I've set the exposure for the shade. That level, even in an in-car PDC that made up maybe like a 45-second part of the video, I was like, wow, man, this is
I
what
think,
I want.
it just, it might go in a zone of gloating, but we are professionals.
Yeah.
The industry is filled with professionals. I'm just saying this out loud, but PowerDrift got bigger because we were doing stuff that nobody else on the internet was doing. I mean, of course, you had international shows and the kind of production quality that they got, but we were in India. I'd never seen, and that's what got me hooked on as well. Like the earlier videos, I was like in love. I still am, and that's what makes us different.
Yeah.
So you will see, I'm sure, you've already been in one video, and you will see a lot of these other videos pop up in your life as well. And you're going to have an amazing time.
I hope so.
Yeah. Which is your favorite PowerDrift video, by the way?
Good question. Very, put me in a spot.
I'll tell you which my favorite car video is.
Yeah.
It's the Polo GT TSI versus the TDI.
Yes. Where it comes from behind.
What a shot.
Yeah, that's too good.
Yeah. So I think that's one of my favorite car videos.
Yeah.
In recent times, I think there's also one that Cyrus did with the K10. K10 or some Celerio. I
haven't seen that.
It's a very nice video.
Sorry to say, but I haven't seen that. Yeah. But another one in recent
Karan
times
needs to do his homework now.
Checks my phone. We'll be back in a second.
Yeah, but it's fun, man. I mean, working at PD is fun, but it also requires that level of effort.
Retuning, I think. For me, the biggest thing is just retuning. So, I was telling you this earlier. So, when I was scripting earlier in my previous jobs, the script would just be what I want to say, right? And the rest is up to how the camera guy is setting up his camera, how, whatever, Those other parameters are not in my control in that script. Only what I say is in my control. But when I saw scripts of Vipul and Cyrus, those are the only two scripts I've taken a look at. The level of detail is crazy. Yeah. Like, if you guys see the level of detail that it's not by chance that the view is leading to the PDC. Yeah. It's like planned.
It flows.
Yeah. And when I was, like I said, I was crazy about cars. So I used to always watch car videos. Whenever I'm eating, I can never eat without watching something. And 90% of the time when I'm watching something, it's car stuff.
Yeah.
And it can never be standard reviews, right? So it would always be something like a feature-ish film or something like that. And I found PowerDrift videos are in that
Zone.
category. Even if
Yeah.
it's a review, it would be sort of like a film.
Yeah.
Again, not being biased here.
Yeah.
But I used to think that that's by chance. Even when I started work, I felt like that VO leading to a PTC or leading to whatever happens later. Like you
Right.
figure it out late. Like you do your PTC and then you figure out, okay, what VO can lead to this PTC.
You're right.
It's a very small part of the script, I agree. But I was like, okay, this is like, the detail is crazy. Like they've planned for if the shot is like a low angle shot, if there's like a video game style treatment to the video later, it's crazy.
Yeah.
They are giving, that script is giving the guide not just to the presenter. The presenter knows from the script what to speak. The videographer knows how he has to take the video. The video editor knows what the vibe of the video is. Like your Katana video, I was still at AutoX back then. That Katana video, I must have shown it to my sister, to my mom, to my dad. I was like, this video is, and it can never happen if everyone is not in sync.
Yeah. That's
Right?
what I keep saying. That's why I keep saying this to everyone that I meet. You
Yeah.
know, we are a face.
Yeah.
Right? People connect with us
Correct.
because they see us, but there's just so much work that goes behind the scenes.
So
Right
much
now, also
work
there are
and-
like 3 people standing behind the
Yeah.
camera who are shooting. 3 people.
Yeah.
And it takes somebody to get the equipment here.
Yeah.
That's why I always say this line, and I 100% believe in. It's called teamwork makes the dream work.
I agree.
You have to be a team
You
to
have
make
to. Yep.
the dream work.
And when I turned up at PowerDrift on the first day, which was last Monday, at the time of watching this,
Yeah.
filming this, sorry, there were already like, I don't know how many people, like people are just walking by. I'm like, who's that guy? Who's that guy? Who's
Yeah.
that? I was like lost. I was like, who's Animesh? Was Animesh that guy? Was he that guy?
Yeah.
I was super confused. And Akash was at Evo when I was at Evo. So I knew him and I was speaking to him, and he was telling me that this guy does this guy does this. And what I realized is, and I think this is down to the brilliance of the leadership, is that there's one guy to do each function and a guy who specializes in that function. There's one guy it's a small example again, but the camera person is not the one changing lenses. There's
Correct.
someone else to change the lens. So the camera person can focus on his work.
Yeah.
The guy changing the lenses is not the one wiping the car, so that he can focus on changing the lenses.
Correct.
Everyone has a task, and we are just a small
That's what I'm saying. There's so
cog
much
in the machine.
BTS that
and,
goes on.
And even if one cog fails in that machine,
Yeah.
PowerDrift won't be what PowerDrift is.
Yeah, for
And I've
sure.
realized that 1 week in.
Yeah. Yeah. Superb, man.
It's
It's amazing.
amazing. Like you guys have to, like, just to understand the scale of operations is crazy. There's like 27 WhatsApp groups, I think. I'm still being like added to more and more
Yeah.
WhatsApp groups, and
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And-
But it's great, man. I mean, it's great to have you here finally.
It's good to be here.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. I wish you can do a lot more motorcycles as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people who handle cars, and I'm sure people who are watching this would love to see you on a motorcycle as well. So we'll do a lot of stories and stuff like that. But on that note, I think we now know
Yeah.
what your story is on how you got to PowerDrift, and I wish I can get a lot more people and have them tell their story on how they got to PowerDrift, because
Yeah.
it's so unique, it's so unusual, it's so
Yeah.
unconventional. But more on that later. For now, I think we're going to jump on to another podcast where Karan and I are going to talk about our favorite vehicles.
Yep.
That's going to be the next podcast. So stay tuned for that. But for now, that's Karan Singh, our newest guy at PowerDrift. Give him love. Follow him at Cars with Karan on Instagram. And yep, stay tuned. Anything else that you want to add?
Nope, that's it.
That's it.
Yep.
All right.
Bye. See you. Take care.
Yep.
Alvida. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Wow. That's a lot of information. All right. See you.